The threat appears the farmer did not sleep that night. He sat on a wooden stool in the barn, his old shotgun across his lap, listening to every sound in the dark. The alien girl slept in the hiding space he had made for her, her breathing soft and uneven. Outside, the night stretched on, too long and too quiet. When the first gray light of morning touched the fields, the farmer's eyes burned with tiredness, but his body was tight with worry. The hunters had gone for now, but he knew it was not over. They had searched once, they would search again. He stepped outside, the cold air sharp on his face. From the ridge beyond his land, he saw black marks burned into the soil, strange patterns as if fire had licked the earth in circles. It was proof of what had walked there in the night. When he returned to the barn, the girl was awake, sitting with the blanket wrapped tightly around her shoulders. Her large eyes followed him as he entered. "They will come back," she said softly. The farmer nodded. "I know," she lowered her head. "If they find me here, they will kill you too." Her words were heavy, but his face stayed steady. "Then we make sure they don't find you." For a moment, silence hung between them. Then the girl whispered, almost to herself, "Humans are strange. You choose danger when you could walk away." The farmer didn't answer. He busied himself by feeding the animals, but her words stayed in his mind. Maybe she was right. Maybe he was strange. But he couldn't imagine leaving her to die. As the day passed, the farm felt different. The birds were quiet. The air carried a weight, as if the land itself knew something was coming. By evening, the farmer's unease grew worse. He noticed the animals refusing to go near the edges of the field. Even his loyal dog, Rusty, kept growling at the sky, and then it came. Just as the sun sank low, the ground trembled. A deep vibration rolled under his boots, not like thunder, but heavier, sharper, alive. The girl stiffened, her eyes wide with terror. "They are here," she whispered. The farmer grabbed his shotgun and looked outside. From the horizon, dark shapes appeared, moving in formation. They were not horses, not trucks, not anything of this world. Tall figures with armor that shimmered faintly in the dusk light. Their weapons glowed with a dull red fire, and their eyes burned brighter than before. There were dozens of them. Maybe more. The farmer's stomach turned to stone. His barn, his fields, his entire land, all of it felt too small to hold against such a force. The girl grabbed his arm, her cold fingers trembling. "You cannot fight them. If they see me, they will take me. If they take me, I will not live." The farmer looked at her. Fear clawed at him, but something else burned stronger. "Then they won't see you." He pushed her back toward the hiding space. She resisted, tears in her glowing eyes. "They will burn your farm. They will burn everything you own." The farmer tightened his grip on the shotgun. "I can build again, but I can't build another life like yours." Her lips parted as if she wanted to argue, but no words came. Slowly, she crawled back into the hiding place, pulling the blanket tight around herself. The farmer closed the cloth, covering her from view. Then he stepped out of the barn. The ground shook harder as the hunters approached, their steps heavy, precise. The leader, taller than the rest, raised a long weapon that hissed like fire. His voice rang out metallic and cold, speaking in words the farmer did not understand, but the message was clear. They were demanding something. The farmer gripped his shotgun and shouted back. His voice was steady, though his hands trembled. "This is my land. You've got no business here." The hunters stopped, their glowing eyes turning toward him. For a moment, silence filled the air. Then, one of them stepped forward, raising a scanner-like device. It buzzed loudly, the red light sweeping over the barn. Inside, the alien girl held her breath, her hands pressed tight against her chest. The device flickered as it passed near her hiding spot. For one terrifying second, it glowed brighter. The farmer's dog barked suddenly, loud and fierce, breaking the moment. The hunters turned toward the sound, distracted. The scanner's light dimmed. The farmer's heart raced. He knew it was only luck that wouldn't last. The leader of the hunters pointed his weapon at the barn door. The message was clear now. They knew something was inside. The farmer lifted his shotgun. His voice shook, but he shouted anyway. "If you want what's mine, you'll have to go through me." For a long, terrible moment, the hunters stood still. Then the leader raised his hand and the army spread out, surrounding the barn. Their weapons hissed, ready to fire. Inside, the girl whispered to herself, tears sliding down her pale face. "He will die for me." The barn filled with silence so heavy it hurt. The farmer tightened his grip, his body tense as steel, and then the first hunter moved. First connection. The barn was quiet, but the farmer could not rest. He paced back and forth, holding the lantern low, watching the strange girl breathe. Her chest rose and fell too quickly, like someone who had been running for days. Every time she coughed, he thought she might not survive the night. He had questions, too many questions, but no answers. Who was she? Where had she come from? And why did she say they would come? The farmer poured water into an old tin cup and lifted it gently to her lips. At first, she did not move. Then slowly she drank, her hands shaking as if even that small action was too heavy. "You are kind," she whispered, her voice weak but clear. The farmer sat on a bale of hay across from her. He did not feel kind. He felt afraid of what might be coming, afraid of what he had done by bringing her here. But when he looked into her eyes, large, glowing faintly in the lantern light, he could not turn away. "Who are you?" he asked finally. The girl blinked, and for a moment silence filled the barn. The animals shifted nervously, sensing the strange energy in the air. Then she spoke. "My name does not matter," she said softly. "If they find me, I will not live to speak it again." Her words made his skin prickle. He leaned forward. "Who is chasing you?" The girl looked toward the barn door, as if she could see beyond the wooden walls into the darkness outside. "Hunters," she said. "They do not forgive. They do not stop. Once they mark someone, they chase until the end." The farmer's grip tightened on the lantern handle. "Hunters? From where?" She looked at him with tired eyes, and for the first time, he felt the weight of her loneliness. "Not from this world," she whispered. The words sank into him like cold water. He wanted to deny it, to say it was impossible. But the proof was lying in front of him, breathing, fragile and real. Before he could ask more, a distant sound echoed through the night. A low hum, almost like thunder, but steady, mechanical. The girl's eyes widened. She struggled to sit up, panic flashing across her pale face. "They are close," she said, her voice sharp now, filled with fear. "If they find me, they will burn this place to the ground." The farmer felt his chest tighten. His land, his home, everything he had built with his hands, it could all be destroyed because of her. He almost wished he had walked away when he first saw her in the mud. Almost. But then she clutched his sleeve with weak fingers, her eyes pleading. "Please, hide me. Just for a little while, please." Her voice broke something inside him. He had seen lost animals, wounded travelers, even strangers begging for shelter in storms, but nothing like this. She was not just asking for safety. She was asking for life. He nodded once firmly. "Stay quiet." The farmer grabbed a pile of old blankets and hay, making a hollow space at the back of the barn, behind the wooden feed barrels. It was cramped and dark, but it was the best he could do. He helped her crawl inside, her body shaking from exhaustion. He covered the opening with a rough cloth, making it look like nothing was there. As he worked, she whispered, "Why do you help me? You do not know me. You do not know what I bring to your door." The farmer paused. He didn't have the answer. Maybe it was because he couldn't stand seeing someone helpless. Maybe it was because in her eyes he saw the same fear he had once seen in his little sister's eyes during a winter storm years ago. Or maybe it was simply because he was human. "Because no one should die alone," he said at last. The girl's eyes softened. She pulled the blanket closer around her shoulders and whispered something he almost didn't hear. "You are different from the others." Before he could ask what she meant, a sudden flash of red light filled the cracks of the barn wall. The hum grew louder, closer. The farmer's blood ran cold. Outside, shadows moved, tall, sharp figures, nothing like men. Their voices were low and metallic, speaking in a language he could not understand. The animals inside the barn grew restless, stamping their hooves, snorting nervously. The farmer blew out his lantern and pressed himself against the wall, heart pounding. Through a gap in the boards, he saw them, dark shapes walking slowly across his field, their eyes glowing faintly in the night. Hunters. The girl's warning was true. The farmer held his breath, every muscle tense. One of the figures stopped near the barn door, its glowing eyes scanning the wood as if it could see straight through. For a long, terrible moment, the world seemed frozen. Inside the hiding place, the alien girl covered her mouth with her hands, trying not to breathe too loudly. Her heart beat fast, and she prayed the hunters would pass. Then suddenly, the figure turned away. The hum of their machines moved farther into the fields, the lights fading slowly into the distance. The farmer stayed still for a long time, waiting, listening, until the night was quiet again. Only then did he let out a shaky breath. He pulled back the cloth and looked at the girl. She was trembling, tears shining in her strange eyes. "They will not stop," she whispered. "You saved me tonight, but tomorrow, they will return." The farmer knew she was right. He had invited danger into his life, but as he looked at her, wrapped in his blanket, fragile yet alive, he also knew there was no turning back. Whatever came next, he would face it. And somewhere deep inside, he felt that this was only the beginning. The night was cold and silent. The farm lay under a wide, dark sky, and only the sound of the wind moved through the fields. Inside the barn, the farmer checked the animals one last time before heading back to his small wooden house. He was tired. It had been a long day of hard work, but then he heard something. It was not the wind. It was not the animals. It was softer, weaker, like a whisper carried through the air. He stopped, holding his breath. There it was again, a thin sound, like someone calling, almost too faint to hear. The farmer frowned. No one came this far at night. The road was empty and his neighbors lived miles away. Still, he picked up the lantern and stepped outside. The cold bit at his skin, but he followed the sound. Near the edge of the barn, he saw something that made him freeze. Lying on the ground, half hidden in the straw and mud, was a figure. Small, fragile, and trembling. At first he thought it was a lost child. But when he brought the lantern closer, his heart jumped. The face was not human. Her skin was pale, almost glowing under the lantern light. Her eyes were too large, shining faintly like stars in the night. She looked weak, breathing fast and shallow as if she had run for miles and was about to collapse forever. The farmer knelt down. His hands shook, but not from the cold. "What are you?" he whispered. The girl opened her mouth and her voice was broken, barely more than a breath. "Please, help." The farmer's mind raced. This could not be real. He had heard stories of strange lights in the sky, of people claiming they saw beings not from this world, but he never believed them until now. And here she was, lying helpless in his field. For a moment, fear pulled at him. What if more of her kind were nearby? What if this was a trap? But when he looked at her again, all he saw was someone cold, fading, and alone. Her thin arms hugged herself as if she was freezing to death. Without thinking more, he pulled the rough blanket from his shoulders and covered her with it. The fabric was old and worn, but it gave her warmth. Her eyes slowly blinked, surprised. No one had ever done this for her before. She whispered again, "They will come. They will find me." The farmer leaned closer. "Who will find you?" But before she could answer, her head dropped weakly against his arm. She had no strength left. At that moment, the wind changed. The night grew heavier. In the distance, faint lights moved across the horizon, red, sharp, and fast. They were not from any truck or car, he knew. They moved in strange patterns, cutting through the darkness. The farmer's stomach tightened. He knew somehow that these lights were looking for her. He looked at the girl again. She was so light, so fragile, as if she might vanish any second. He could leave her here and walk away, pretend none of this ever happened. But his heart refused. She needed him. The barn behind him stood tall, its doors wide enough to hide them both. The animals stirred inside, uneasy, as if they too felt something unnatural in the air. He lifted her carefully, wrapping the blanket tight around her small body. She was colder than he expected, colder than any human could be. Her eyes opened for just a moment. She looked at him, confused but thankful. "Why, do you help me?" she asked, her voice like a broken song. The farmer did not answer. Maybe he didn't know himself. But deep inside, he felt something strong, something human. He could not let her die. As he carried her into the barn, the strange lights in the sky grew closer. A low hum rolled through the night like metal wings beating against the wind. He laid her gently on the hay and looked out from the barn door. His heart pounded. Whoever or whatever was coming, they were nearly here, and he had no idea what he had just brought into his life. But one thing was certain. This night would change everything. Human's choice. The barn shook as heavy footsteps circled it. The hunters moved like shadows of iron, their glowing eyes fixed on the wooden walls, their strange weapons humming with deadly light. The farmer stood in the doorway, his shotgun pointed forward, his body outlined against the dim lantern glow inside. He looked small compared to them. One man with worn boots, an old hat, and a rusted gun against an army of armored giants. But his stance did not break. His jaw was set, his eyes steady. Inside the barn, the alien girl trembled in her hiding space. She pressed her hands over her mouth, praying he would not give her away. Every sound of the hunter's armor made her heart slam harder. She knew what these creatures did to anyone who sheltered her kind. They would not stop with him. They would burn everything to ash. The leader of the hunters stepped closer. His voice rang out, harsh and metallic, in words the farmer could not understand. But the meaning was clear. Surrender her. Hand her over. The farmer spat into the dirt. You're not taking anyone from here. The leader tilted his head as if studying him. Then he raised his weapon. A beam of red light hissed from its tip, scorching a black line across the ground at the farmer's feet. The warning was clear. One more step and he would be nothing but ash. Fear stabbed at the farmer's chest, but he didn't move back. He gripped the shotgun tighter. His voice was low but firm. You want her? You'll have to kill me first. Inside the barn, the girl's eyes filled with tears. No one had ever spoken such words for her before. Not her own people. Not her leaders. No one. The hunters growled in their strange tongue, their weapons glowing brighter. One stepped forward, raising his arm to fire. The farmer pulled the trigger. The blast roared through the night, shattering the silence. The pellet struck the hunter's chest, knocking him back with a crack of metal against metal. Sparks flew. The creature staggered, stunned but not dead. The others hissed in anger, their eyes flaring brighter. The leader raised his arm high and the circle of hunters moved in. The farmer's heart hammered, but he did not run. He fired again, reloading with quick, practiced hands. Each shot echoed across the field, each one slowing the advance, even if it could not stop it. His dog, Rusty, barked fiercely at his side, teeth bared, ready to fight with him. From her hiding place, the alien girl whispered through tears, Why would you fight for me?" She wanted to scream for him to stop, to hide, to save himself, but her voice would not leave her throat. The hunters pressed closer, one aimed directly at the barn door. The farmer saw the weapon glow hot, ready to fire. In that split second, he thought of his land, his animals, his simple life. He thought of the quiet nights and long days he had built with his hands. All of it could vanish in a single blast. But then he thought of her, the fragile girl who had collapsed in his field, who had whispered for help with her last breath. If he gave her up now, he would no longer be a man. He would be a coward. He took a deep breath, his voice steady as steel. This is my home. She is under my roof, and no one takes what I protect. The words carried into the night, firm and unbroken. The hunters paused. For a moment, even their glowing eyes seemed uncertain. They had faced warriors, armies, and kings across the stars, but they had never faced a simple farmer standing alone with such fire in his voice. The leader lowered his hand slowly. His head tilted as if weighing this strange human. The silence stretched on, heavy and tense. Inside the barn, the girl pressed her hands together, her chest tight with emotions she could not name. She had seen bravery before, but never like this. Never so pure. Then, without warning, the hunters released a sharp metallic cry. Their weapons hummed louder, brighter, filling the air with red light. They had made their decision. They would not leave without her. The farmer braced himself. His dog growled low, ready to leap. His finger curled tighter around the trigger. He knew this could be his last stand. But if it was, he would make it count. And then, something unexpected happened. The barn's wooden beams groaned, and the air inside grew heavy. The girl's body glowed faintly beneath the blanket, her fear and pain stirring something deep within her. Her hands shook as energy flickered at her fingertips, weak but real. For the first time, she whispered words in her own language, strange, melodic, filled with sorrow and power. The animals quieted. Even the hunters paused, their heads turning toward the barn. The farmer glanced back, confusion in his eyes. The girl was changing, no, revealing. She was not just a runaway. She was something far more important. The hunters roared, surging forward. The farmer lifted his gun, ready to face them all. His choice was made. He would stand, no matter the cost. The struggle. The night exploded with noise and fire. The hunters surged forward, weapons blazing with red light. Beams hissed through the air, burning holes into the barn walls, setting dry hay on fire. The farmer dove to the side, firing his shotgun again. The blast struck one of the armored figures, knocking it back into the dirt. But another hunter fired, and the ground near his feet burst into flame. Smoke filled the barn. The animals cried out in terror. Rusty barked furiously, leaping at one of the intruders who forced its way inside. The dog's teeth sank into the creature's armored leg. The hunter snarled and kicked, but Rusty held on, buying the farmer precious seconds. The farmer reloaded, his hands moving fast despite the heat and chaos. He fired again, aiming for their glowing eyes. One shot cracked the lens of a hunter's mask and sparks rained down. The creature stumbled, blinded, but there were too many. The girl stayed hidden, clutching the blanket, her body trembling. She could hear the farmer coughing in the smoke, could hear the heavy steps of the hunters closing in. Her chest ached with guilt. He was risking everything, his life, his land, for her, and still he fought. "Come on," the farmer shouted, his voice raw but fearless. "You'll have to kill me before I give her up." The hunters roared in their strange language, their voices echoing like iron drums. One raised a blade of glowing light, rushing at him. The farmer swung a pitchfork from the wall, blocking the strike. Sparks flew as metal clashed against alien steel. The alien girl pressed her hands to her face, tears streaming. She could not stay hidden any longer. Her body began to glow again, brighter this time. Energy pulsed from her skin, soft at first, then sharper, like a heartbeat echoing through the air. The hunters turned their heads, their scanners beeping wildly. They had found her. The farmer looked back and saw the glow through the smoke. "No, stay hidden," he shouted. But it was too late. The blanket slid off her shoulders as she rose to her feet, her legs shaking but her eyes burning with something new. Her hands glimmered with pale light. She stepped out of the shadows, facing the hunters. The leader hissed, raising his weapon. The girl lifted her hands. A pulse of white-blue energy burst from her chest, sweeping across the barn. The flames bent away from her, the smoke curled, and the nearest hunters were thrown back as if struck by an invisible hammer. They crashed into the dirt outside, their armor sparking. The farmer's eyes widened. He had never seen power like this. The girl swayed, nearly collapsing, but the farmer caught her. "What are you?" he whispered. She shook her head weakly. I am nothing." Not anymore. But the hunters thought otherwise. Their leader roared and more figures stormed from the fields, dozens of them, weapons glowing brighter than before. The farmer's heart sank.
He had thought there were only a few.
Now he saw them all, an army. "We can't stay," he said, pulling the girl toward the back door of the barn. "We have to run." She stumbled, but he held her upright. Rusty barked, circling them, ready to defend. Together they broke into the night air as the barn walls cracked and collapsed behind them. Flames swallowed the old wood, turning the farmer's home into an inferno. He didn't look back. Through the smoke, they ran across the fields. The hunters chased, their footsteps pounding the ground like thunder. Red beams sliced past them, scorching the earth, burning holes through fences. "Faster!" the farmer urged, gripping her arm. But she was weak, each step a struggle. Her eyes glowed faintly as she whispered, I can slow them." "No," the farmer barked. "You'll kill yourself." Still, she raised a trembling hand. A wall of shimmering light burst into the air behind them, blocking the hunters' shots. The beams struck the shield and scattered, but cracks spread across the glowing barrier. The effort drained her, her knees buckling. The farmer lifted her into his arms, ignoring the weight. He ran harder than he ever had in his life. His lungs burned, his legs screamed, but he would not stop. Rusty darted beside him, growling at the shadows that closed in. The hunters shouted, their voices metallic and furious. They spread out, circling, trying to trap them. From the corner of his eye, the farmer saw more of them landing from the sky, their machines glowing red. They were surrounded. He reached the edge of the woods, the tall trees rising like black towers in the night. He pushed forward, branches whipping his face, his breath ragged. The hunters followed, their glowing eyes cutting through the dark like fireflies of death. Inside the forest, the air grew heavy, quiet except for their chase. The farmer stumbled into a small clearing, falling to his knees with the girl in his arms. She was pale, barely conscious. "They won't stop," she whispered. "You cannot win against them." "No one can." The farmer set her down gently, wiping the sweat from his brow. His chest heaved, but his eyes burned with fire. "Maybe no one can. But I'm not no one. I'm human." Her lips trembled. She had no answer. The hunters crashed through the trees, their weapons raised. Red light filled the clearing. The farmer stood again, shotgun in hand, his body shielding the girl. Rusty snarled beside him, ready to fight to the end. The leader stepped forward, raising his weapon for the killing strike. The forest glowed red, the air heavy with death. And then, something else stirred in the night. A distant horn-like sound echoed through the trees, deep and strange. The hunters froze. Their glowing eyes flickered. The leader tilted his head as if uncertain. The girl's eyes opened wide, filled with both fear and hope. "They are not only hunters," she whispered. "Others have come." The revelation, the horn echoed again, deeper this time, like the earth itself was groaning. The hunters hesitated, their glowing weapons aimed but not fired. Even their leader froze, head tilted as if listening to something far away. The farmer stood in the clearing, sweat dripping down his face, shotgun steady but heart-pounding. Rusty growled low, his fur bristling. The girl clutched the grass, her pale face turned toward the sound, her lips trembling. "They came," she whispered, almost too faint to hear. "Who?" the farmer asked, his eyes never leaving the hunters. Before she could answer, the trees shook. Branches snapped and heavy steps approached, not fast like hunters, but slow, deliberate, as if something massive walked through the forest. A strange glow lit the clearing, not red like the hunter's fire, but silver blue. It was soft, almost gentle, like moonlight made solid. The hunters shifted nervously, their growls turning uncertain. Then from the trees a figure appeared. It was tall, taller than any human, but not armored like the hunters. Its body glimmered faintly, covered in flowing patterns that moved like rivers of light. Its face was hidden beneath a hood of silver cloth, but two bright eyes shone from the shadow, calm, ancient, and watchful. The hunters stepped back. Their leader barked something in their language, a command sharp and metallic. Yet none of his warriors moved forward. They feared this newcomer. The farmer tightened his grip on the shotgun. "Friend of yours?" he muttered to the girl, her eyes filled with tears. She nodded weakly. "Guardian." The silver figure raised a hand. No weapon, only an open palm glowing softly. The forest fell silent. Even the fire in the distance seemed to hush. The hunters growled again, but they did not attack. Instead, their leader raised his weapon high, signaling retreat. One by one, the red-eyed soldiers melted back into the trees, their voices fading until only silence remained. The farmer's jaw dropped. "What in the hell?" The silver figure stepped closer, its light spilling across the clearing. When it spoke, its voice was deep and gentle, like thunder wrapped in kindness. "Child," it said, looking at the girl. "You survived." The girl tried to stand, but her legs trembled. The farmer quickly helped her up, holding her steady. She bowed her head to the glowing figure. I thought all of you were gone," she whispered. The figure shook its head slowly. "Not all. We are few, but we remain, and we have been searching for you." The farmer frowned, his grip tightening on the shotgun. "Someone better explain what's going on. Who are you people? And why are those iron freaks chasing her?" The silver figure turned its glowing eyes to him. For a moment, the farmer felt as if the universe itself looked into his soul, yet the figure's voice stayed calm. "She is the last of her kind. The hunters serve the Iron Dominion, an empire that destroys worlds. They seek her because of what she carries." The farmer glanced at the girl. "What she carries? She doesn't even have shoes." The girl shook her head, her voice trembling. "Not a thing, a power. Inside me." She pressed her hand to her chest. "They call it the Heartfire. It can destroy, or it can heal. My people guarded it for centuries, but when the Dominion came, they slaughtered us to take it. My father died protecting me. My mother sent me away." Her voice broke. She covered her face. The farmer stared, the weight of her words sinking in. A farm boy at heart, he had never dreamed of empires, wars, or powers hidden inside alien girls. He only knew a simple truth. She was alone, and someone had to protect her. The silver figure spoke again. "The hunters will not stop. They know she is here now. They will send more and worse." The farmer swallowed hard. "So what are you saying? That I should hand her over to you?" The figure's eyes glowed brighter. "No, I am her protector, not her master. But she cannot survive without a choice. She must decide, hide forever or face her destiny." The girl looked up, her face pale but her eyes burning. "If I run, they will hunt me to the edge of the stars. If I fight," her voice trembled. "If I fight, many will die." The farmer put a hand on her shoulder. "You're just a girl. You don't have to carry the whole universe on your back." But she shook her head. "I already do." The forest went quiet again. The silver figure stepped closer, lowering its hood just enough for the farmer to see a scarred, worn face beneath, neither human nor monstrous, but something in between, marked by years of battle. I can take her, the figure said. Teach her, protect her, but the hunters will strike again and soon. If you stay here, farmer, your land will burn. The farmer clenched his jaw. His barn already smoldered behind him. His fields were scarred, but his heart was steady. Then let them come, he said. I won't walk away from her. Not now. The silver figure tilted its head as if surprised. Few humans would make such a vow. Why? The farmer looked at the girl, then back at the figure. Because she shared a blanket with me when she had nothing. Because she's more than a weapon or a prize. She's a child. And children deserve a chance. The figure studied him for a long moment. Then it nodded slowly. Very well. Then we stand together. The girl reached for the farmer's hand, her eyes soft but filled with quiet strength. Thank you, she whispered. Above the forest, a distant rumble rolled across the night sky. Ships, dozens of them, breaking through the clouds. The silver figure raised its gaze. They are coming again. The farmer's grip tightened on his shotgun. His land was gone. His peace was gone. But his fight, his purpose, had just begun. The battle of the farm. The night sky cracked open. Dozens of black ships tore through the clouds, their engines screaming like thunder. Red lights pulsed beneath them, washing the farm in a hellish glow. The earth shook as they descended, sending waves of dust across the broken field. The farmer gripped his shotgun tighter, though he knew it was nothing against such machines. Rusty barked furiously, standing at his side. The girl clutched the blanket around her shoulders, her eyes glowing faintly with the strange fire inside her. Beside them, the silver guardian raised his hands, summoning a shield of pale light that shimmered like glass. They've come in force, the guardian said, his voice low and heavy. The Dominion does not forgive failure. The farmer spat into the dirt. Then we make him regret coming here at all. The ships opened. Hunters poured out more than before. Dozens became hundreds. They moved in perfect rows, red eyes burning, weapons crackling with deadly light. The air hummed with their energy and the ground trembled under their boots. The leader stepped forward, taller than the rest, his armor thicker, his weapon twice the size of the others. His voice roared across the field. Hand over the bearer of the heartfire and your deaths will be swift. The girl shivered, but the farmer stepped in front of her. She's not yours to take. The leader tilted his head, almost amused. A human farmer, defending a dying race, pathetic. The farmer raised his shotgun, his voice steady. Maybe, but this is my land. And on my land I don't run. The hunters roared and charged. The silver guardian slammed his hands into the ground. A wave of silver light rippled out, striking the first line of hunters and throwing them back. Their weapons fired, bolts of red cutting through the night. The farmer ducked, firing back, his shotgun blast useless against armor. But it slowed one down just enough for Rusty to leap, tearing into its throat with a snarl. The girl fell to her knees, clutching her chest. The glow inside her grew brighter, pushing through her skin like fire beneath glass. I can't hold it, she cried. The guardian knelt beside her. You must. It is time. Her eyes widened. If I release it, it will burn everything. The guardian's voice softened. Not everything. If you trust yourself. The farmer knelt too, placing a rough hand on her shoulder. His voice was calm, steady, the way he spoke to frightened animals in the barn. Listen to me, kid. You're stronger than you think. You just need to aim it, same as you aim a plow straight through the earth. I'll be right here. You won't do it alone. The girl looked at him. Tears welled in her eyes, but she nodded. The leader raised his weapon, aiming directly at them. Enough! The heartfire is mine! The girl stood, the blanket falling from her shoulders. Her glow spread brighter, washing across the field. The hunters froze, their red eyes flickering uncertainly. Even the leader hesitated. She lifted her hands. The fire within her surged outward, not red, not silver, but golden, pure and alive. It spread like a wave of sunlight cutting through the Dominion's darkness. Hunters screamed as their weapons melted, their armor cracking. Some dropped to the ground, writhing. Others fled back toward the ships. The leader roared, charging straight through the light. The farmer stepped forward, shotgun raised. He fired point blank, the blast hitting the leader square in the chest. Not enough to kill, but enough to stagger him. The guardian seized the moment, striking with a blade of silver energy. The leader howled as the blade pierced his armor, splitting it open. The girl raised her hands higher, her fire burning brighter. The leader lunged one last time, but the golden wave consumed him. His body shattered like ash in the wind. The hunters broke. Their ranks scattered, ships lifting back into the sky in panic. The earth shook as they fled, leaving behind only silent smoke and the faint glow of golden fire. The girl collapsed to her knees, trembling, tears streaming down her face. I didn't kill everything, did I? The guardian knelt beside her, his silver eyes soft. No, child. You saved everything. The farmer walked over, shotgun lowered. Rusty limped to his side, blood on his fur, but his eyes still fierce. The farmer looked down at the girl, then at the smoking battlefield that used to be his farm. Guess I'm out of a barn, he muttered. The girl gave a weak laugh through her tears. I'm sorry. He shook his head. Don't be. You're family now. Barns can be rebuilt. The guardian looked at him, his voice heavy with respect. You fought when no one else would. Few humans would stand against the Dominion. Fewer still would win. The farmer shrugged. Didn't win alone. None of us did. The girl reached out, taking his hand. Her glow had dimmed now, leaving her looking small again, fragile but alive. Thank you, she whispered. The farmer squeezed her hand gently. You don't need to thank me, kid. Just stay. Above them, the sky cleared. The ships were gone, for now. Stars shone brightly through the fading smoke. The guardian lifted his gaze. This battle is over, but the war is not. They will return, stronger, angrier, and when they do, the universe will need her. The farmer looked at the girl, then at the stars. He sighed, a long, tired breath. Well, he said, if the universe wants her, it'll have to get through me first. The girl smiled, weak but full of hope. For the first time since she fell from the sky, she wasn't alone. And as dawn touched the horizon, painting the ruined farm in gold, one thing was clear. The story of a farmer, an alien girl, and the fire inside her had only just begun.